Today's show is brought to you by Audible, and right now you can get a free audiobook download and 30-day free trial at audibletrial.com/joined-up. There's over 180,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle or MP3 player. Thanks for tuning in to the Joined Up Writing Podcast, a weekly show featuring interviews with fantastic authors sharing their personal stories on how and why they write. There's hints and tips for aspiring writers and great book reviews from top bloggers. Follow us on Twitter at JU Podcast. Right, cue the cheesy theme tune.
Put down your pen and stop your typing. Grab yourself a drink, 'cause it's Joined Up Writing. Epilogue.
Yeah, it's the Epilogue, our bonus in-between episodes, a quick listen containing an extra question or topic not covered in our original full interviews. And this week it's CJ Tudor, returning to talk about her recent online brush with literary legend Stephen King. And we also chat about what she loves about King's work and what we can learn from his writing. If you missed it, you can find Caroline's full interview from last week over at joinedupwriting.co.uk, or even better, you can subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, Overcast or wherever else you get your podcasts from to get a new episode downloaded automatically every week. We've got a huge archive of interviews, 2-minute tips, epilogues and writing chats for you to enjoy, and it's all completely free. And if you still can't wrap your head around podcast apps, then at the very least just hit the subscribe button over at joinedupwriting.co.uk, and that way you'll get a little email every Tuesday to let you know that the new episode is available to listen to. Okay, let's hear this week's interview. Okay, Caroline, thanks a million for staying around for the epilogue, our little bonus in between quick listen shows. And we kind of alluded to it a little bit in the main interview, but I wanted to speak to you a little bit about, I know somebody that is quite a big influence on your work, and I kind of sensed it when I was reading The Chalkman as well. It's Stephen King. First of all, tell us a little bit about what you like so much about Stephen King, how he's influenced your work, and then maybe mention the tweet that you got recently.
Well, I love Stephen King. He's an absolute hero of mine. I first picked up one of his books when I was about 12, and it was Christine, and I got it from the library. It must have been on my dad's library card, probably. Yeah. I still remember picking it up, and it was in this plastic sort of sheath they get from those library books, quite sort of worn, and that was it. I started reading it, and I was absolutely hooked. And I searched out all his other books. I've read all of them. All at various points in my life, I've reread a lot of them. I've reread The Shining a lot. Pet Sematary is another favourite. I love his writing. I think he's a wonderful storyteller. And there was a time, I think probably when I was in my 20s, where it wasn't fashionable to like Stephen King.
Yeah, I remember that.
He wasn't regarded as literary enough, or and it was almost like a guilty pleasure liking Stephen King. But I'm so pleased these days that he gets the respect he has always deserved as being such a brilliant, incredible storyteller with just this vast imagination, who still keeps producing, wonderful, interesting.
They're just, as you say, he's got such a unique voice. I can remember the time that you're talking about as well. I would have friends, I was really into him, and I'd have friends, non-writer friends, I have to say as well. They'd obviously read this somewhere. They would say things like, he's great at coming up with story ideas, but he's not a very good writer. Things like this, and I'm like, well, you haven't read his books if you say that, because he's
exactly, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned Christine. What I find with a lot of his books as well, it's like nobody else could write them.
No, absolutely not.
And on the face of it, there's parts of that story that are absolutely ridiculous, like. But it's so entertaining, and he somehow makes it credible.
I think that's it. He does make those things credible, because I think you believe in his characters, and that's it. He makes these crazy, weird things very credible. You believe in it, you invest in it because of his voice and his storytelling. And I think a lot of the snobbery about writing, not so much now, because I think we've got over it a little bit more now, is that if you're not using lots of big words and describing things and being very sort of very literary about it, big long paragraphs describing a very small action, then you're not a great writer. And I think we understand a bit more now that great writing doesn't have to be about using big words or writing hugely descriptive paragraphs over things. Great writing can be great in lots of different ways. And I think King's has a unique, wonderful narrative voice that just sucks you in. It's that kind of like conversational tone that's whispering in your ear, which I love. And he's, as I say, he's always been such a hero of mine.
And again, he's got that humour runs through most of his work as well. He's always got that kind of dark sarcasm in lots of his stuff with his characters.
Yeah, absolutely. I think particularly when you're writing quite dark, creepy stories, sometimes I think you need a bit of humour in there, because otherwise it can become. Well, actually, sometimes it can become less creepy unless you put that in, because people, I think, quite often make jokes about very dark things because it's our way of coping with stuff that's scary or frightening. So I think humour works very well when you're writing quite a dark, creepy book as well, because it's a very natural human reaction to things.
Completely. So tell us about recently, obviously this man that you idolised, that you read all of his books and everything else. So tell us recently about the tweet that you saw your name mentioned in.
It was it's one of those moments where it's like, really, is this actually happening? I was on the train down to London actually, and I just opened up my laptop to work, but I thought I'd just check in on Twitter. And it was very obviously, I follow Stephen King on Twitter, and it was the very first tweet I saw. So I saw it pop up, and obviously Stephen King is great in that he's very supportive of new writers. He will often tweet about books he's read, and that's a great thing, because it means such a lot. Excuse me, I'm slightly struggling with my voice a tiny bit tonight still. And I saw this tweet pop up, and it was like, want to read something good, you won't find it at the front of the bestseller tables at your local bookstore, but it's new and it will be there. And I thought, I wonder what this is. And it went, The Chalk Man by C.J. Tudor. If you like my stuff, you'll like this. And I think I may have actually just jumped up and down in the train carriage, whooping.
I'm not surprised.
It's a very strange look for the other passengers. I think actually I just went, bloody hell. It was. I actually did check to see that it wasn't a fake account. I was paranoid. That it was the man himself, which was wonderful. It was. Really, if someone said what would be the best thing that could ever happen to you apart from having your book published, it would be, for Stephen King to read it and like it. And it was just amazing. And I liked the cheeky little nod, because a few people said, obviously I'm just trying to copy Stephen King. And obviously it's a huge influence. I think anybody who reads the book can see that. And there are some deliberate little nods in there, which again, I think most people will get for what they are. And I loved the fact that he'd sort of read it and sort of that cheeky little, if you like my stuff, you'll like this. What was even nicer was I replied, and I think I said, crumbs. Thank you. And a huge fan, means the world. And he just replied back and said, you rock. Which is better than the first tweet. So much so I think I might have a T-shirt made with it saying Stephen King says I rock.
You so should. You definitely should. I think.
It was wonderful. Then there may have been tears.
Well, I'm not surprised.
He is made.
It's a big moment. You've had like a series of big moments, haven't you, over the last few months?
It was sort of the culmination of a lot of things, really. And I've got that tweet pinned. It was the most wonderful thing. And occasionally, I just sit back and think, blimey, Stephen King's read my book and he liked it.
Absolutely, yeah.
It's a kind of crazy thing. I like to picture him sat in kind of some kind of big high backed chair in front of a fire with gargoyles and things. That's how I picture it.
Oh, it's superb. Well, just before we go, one of the things on the topic of Stephen King, one of the writing book that always comes up on this podcast, and not just this podcast, it comes up on lots and lots of different shows, and it's often mentioned, is his book on writing, which is my favourite book on the subject.
Great
it's
book.
Superb. But are there any other writing books that you can think of off the top of your head? If you read writing books, maybe you don't believe in them and you've never really subscribed to them, but are there any ones in particular that you found helpful along the way, or any ones that you would recommend?
I have to say, I am in the camp of I don't really read writing books. Stephen King's On Writing is the only one I've read and go back to. because I think it almost contains everything you need. And everything I learned about writing, I haven't done any courses. I never did any further education. I've never done any writing courses. I would say everything I've learned about writing, I have learned through reading, reading other people's books, picking up how they've written things, sort of taking tips from the books themselves. And I'm sure there are lots of great writing books out there, but I sometimes find too much information of telling you how to do something can be more confusing. I think the important thing is to find your own voice. Your structure, your grammar, everything else is almost a little bit superfluous because you can learn all of that. You can get Word to do a lot of that for you. It's your voice that is most important. I don't think that's teachable. So I think the most important thing is to actually try and find that quite freely without feeling constrained by, am I using too many adjectives here, or am I showing or telling? Or I think sometimes you have to just put all of that out of your head and just write what feels natural, because you can structure things afterwards. And I think sometimes people can get too caught up in rules of writing. And then stick to them so rigidly, they kind of lose the meaning of it. So I think you have to kind of write a little bit from your gut, because you can teach and you can learn the other bits, but most important is just find that voice, that story you want to tell.
Absolutely. I mean, a previous guest on the show, Tony Schumacher, an entertaining Liverpudlian chap, and he is very much of the mind. It's like yourself. He hasn't had any formal education in writing or anything like that, and he's very much of the mind of just write. And a lot of the time, and I think he's right, is that a lot of the time we do overcomplicate it. We do try to make it out to be something. Don't get me wrong. I do think it is a special, powerful thing. Good writing. It's amazing, but I think the best way to learn how to do it, as you say, is to read and write.
Absolutely, read lots, write lots. I believe, as Mr. King says himself, is the best way. Yeah.
If you haven't got time to read, then you haven't got time to write.
I don't know. I did hear from one writer actually, which was bizarre. Actually, who said that they don't read.
Can't understand.
How on earth can you write? Because I have so many books. I'm always reading. I still, must find time to read.
Yeah, well, I'm usually reading. I mean,
like you say,
I tend to find I read like 2 or 3 books at the same time is my latest bad habit. It completely just depends. Oh, that one's near. I'll read some of that, and I'll read. I've got one on my Kindle. I've got a paperback. So dipping in and out. So no, I completely agree. Well, that's brilliant. That's all really useful information, and it was great. I just wanted to get your take on that, because I know when I saw it myself, I think, was it Friday night or something like that when it came through, that tweet? And the
Stephen King tweet, I saw on, it was a morning actually, I saw it, that it popped up. Then it got retweeted and sort of did the rounds. And it's still perhaps one of my. There's been lots of amazing moments, and that's perhaps still my best. I
remember seeing it and being excited for you. I was just thinking, God, just like empathising and just thinking, God, that must be amazing. No, that's great.
Yeah, it really was. It's that whole sort of. And a wonderful thing, because I still get people tweeting. I go, "Oh my goodness, I got your book on Stephen King's recommendation," and it does such a lot for. Of course, yeah. It really does. It makes such a huge difference for them. So on that front, it's brilliant as well. But personally, it absolutely meant the world to me. It really did.
It's brilliant. Well, I'm really looking forward to the 2nd and 3rd and 4th books.
Yay!
Keep going with it. And thanks again for coming on. Really enjoyed chatting to you.
No, thank you very much. Sorry, I was losing my voice a tiny bit towards the end.
Pretty well.
You did okay.
You did pretty well. We only had one pup woof. So
I know.
that's pretty good, and I've locked my cat out tonight, so he didn't make an appearance either. So we did well. But no, thanks a million, Caroline. It was great to talk to you.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much.
There you go. That was a fun chat with CJ Tudor, and you should definitely check out The Chalkman and follow Caroline on Twitter @CJ Tudor. What about you lot? Fans of Stephen King? What's your favourite King novel and why? Let me know on Twitter at JUPodcast, and also don't forget to let me know what you think of the show by leaving a review on Apple Podcasts. It takes seconds and helps others to find the show. So that's it for this week. Thanks for listening. I'm Wayne Kelly. Happy reading and writing, and I'll see you next time.